Just a few months ago, it was announced that the Arizona Coyotes would be moving to Salt Lake City, Utah. They're not going to be the same team though. Since the Coyotes were an absolute embarrassment, they'll be doing a complete rebranding as they make their move to Utah. Now, while they spend time picking out a permanent name, for this upcoming season, they're just going to be going by the Utah Hockey Club. They've also picked out colors and designed their uniforms, and maybe it's just me because there's a certain team that I really hate with the exact same colors, but I'm not a fan. I'm not gonna lie, I think I could do a little bit of a better job, so let's get right into it. So first things first, we're gonna go ahead and pick a permanent name. Now lucky for us, they've already narrowed it down to 6 possibilities, so it should be pretty straightforward. Our options are the Blizzard, the Mammoths, the Outlaws, the Venom, the Yeti, or just staying with the Utah Hockey Club. Now, there might be a case to be made for all of these, but the one that sticks out to me the most is the Utah Blizzard. I mean, it's got everything going for it. It's unique, it has relevance to the region, and it even has double Z's in its name, kind of like the Jazz, so maybe there's like a little Easter egg there. If you liked one of the other options better than the Blizzard, go ahead and comment and say which one you liked more, but just know that your opinion is objectively wrong. Now that we have the name, we're going to need some inspiration for designing the logo and uniforms. So let's get into the lab and go to work. And by lab, I mean Pinterest. So I've kind of taken the time to put together some photos to give us kind of a starting point on what we want to do with this team's branding. I think it's very important to have a set of things that you're pulling from for influence for it. Otherwise, you're just coming up with a logo that doesn't really have any meaning. And so the first thing that came to mind was the Utah Jazz, the team that's already in Salt Lake City and coincidentally has some really cool logos. So these are their uniforms from back in the 90s. And honestly, I might just be a sucker for the 90s, especially with the NBA, but I think that the Jazz just had some really cool uniforms back in the day. I love kind of the geometric shapes that they use to form these mountains, and I love the motion that they put in the logo, and I love the colors. I think even their modern uniforms are a really solid evolution of what their past was and what their present is now. I think it's really easy to sway one way or the other and maybe abandon all of the old culture and then come out with something completely sterile. And it's also really easy to get stuck in the past and just have uniforms and branding that is kind of outdated. And I think the next thing that I want to take a lot of influence from is the geography of Utah. There's so much natural beauty within this state. I think that the salt flats are going to be something that I want to really incorporate. I mean, just look at this landscape. Isn't that just cool? Hockey aside, Utah is just a really cool state that I would want to visit sometime. And obviously they have the national parks. I know that this isn't Salt Lake, but southern Utah has a lot of natural beauty as well with, you know, the deserts and everything, and then northern Utah with the mountains. Snowboarding is huge there. I mean, Salt Lake City had the Olympics in 2002. Like I was saying with the Jazz, I'm just a sucker for the 90s. Like, a lot of these posters that I pulled influence from, I think are just so cool. The fashion back then, oh my gosh, dude. I just love the contrast between these bright colors. And honestly, just the landscape of mountains themselves kind of matches the color scheme that I want to incorporate. So right now the color scheme is just light blue and then it's black and white. But I think that there needs to be a little bit more purple in here. But then we also can't forget what this team is called, right? They're called the Blizzard. Just looking at the motion of what snow looks like in a blizzard, the snow just streaks. It just looks like little white streaks. And then lastly, I want to still have a physical mascot. And I know that we didn't pick Yeti as the name, but I think that having the Yeti as the mascot would be pretty cool. And so honestly, this logo right here is very similar to what I was thinking of in my head of having a Yeti snowboarding. And I guess the first influence that I had from it was the icy polar bear. I mean, dude, he's like the coolest mascot of all time. His aura is unmatched. All right, so I've spent a good amount of time sketching out some ideas on my iPad, and I've exported it to Photoshop just so I can show it to you. But these are kind of things that I got from what I was taking inspiration from our mood board. And the first one is literally just a mountain with a little blizzard going on top of it. I thought it was kind of basic, so I don't really want to expand on that. Sometimes you gotta just throw ideas out there. For the text, I really like the idea of like this jagged, almost like punk rock looking font. I guess just because of like the snowboarding culture in Salt Lake really drew my eyes, and it's kind of unique compared to a lot of other teams where they just go with a basic font. So I wanted to maybe push the envelope just a little bit more with the text. The next logo that I really like, and you're gonna have to trust me on this because the sketch is really rough. I don't even know what this looks like, but it's supposed to be a snowflake. I know it doesn't look anything like a snowflake. Just trust me, bro. Just trust the process. I might not be all that good at drawing snowflakes, but give me an illustrator, let me do my thing, and I'll make this look pretty. And then just the simple UT in the middle. Now, if we wanted to go on maybe more of a basic route, we could just have the outline of the state of Utah with like a hockey stick or something. But honestly, this wasn't really doing it for me. Here's a little Yeti logo. I tried to make it look as scary as possible. It kind of just looks like a dog or something. It doesn't even look like a Yeti to me. But I mean, that was my best attempt at a Yeti logo. My favorite logo though, the one that I actually think looks pretty good after my first draft, was the Yeti riding the snowboard like I was talking about, and he's holding a little hockey stick. I literally just tried to draw one for one what Shaun White looked like. So that was kind of my inspiration there. So I really like that logo. And I think that if I refine it a little bit more, it could turn out looking really good. All right, so that's pretty much it. So we're gonna be expanding on this one, making it look a little bit prettier, making the snowflake actually look like a snowflake, and fleshing this one out as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And don't pay this guy any mind. He kind of just likes to chill on my paper. I mean, honestly, he's kind of a little bit weird, but don't tell him I said that. He's just a little bit awkward. He just needs a safe space to be around, and so I let him hang out on my sketch pad, but be friendly. I mean, he's a nice guy, but just look at him, man, like, he's a little bit strange. Okay, now it's time to actually get into Illustrator and design these logos for real. I don't feel super hot, being 100% honest. I kind of have a cold, and I bruised my rib a few days ago, and it's not feeling too good, but I'm gonna power through and hopefully just get through the easiest one first, which is the snowflake. And so I was doing a little bit of research on this, as one does. I always thought what I learned in school is that every snowflake is a little bit different from the next, which is true, but there are some similarities. So pretty much all of them are hexagons. Apparently at like a certain temperature, they can be a triangle, but pretty much most of like the pretty ones are 6 sides. So you'll learn something new every day, I guess. I'm gonna stick to keeping it simple just because I know that it is really easy to make something too loud, and that's not what I'm going for. So I was thinking that for this snowflake, since there's so many spots where you can kind of add some subliminal messaging, I would maybe draw like the state of Utah. Doesn't look quite right. Hold on, just let me cook. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, and then watch this. And then there's that part. I'm like tempted to add more detail. I don't want to get lost in the sauce. Okay, and now I've got to watch a YouTube tutorial because I forgot how to do this, but just give me a second. Object, repeat, radial. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Object, repeat, radial, swag. Look at that, dude. Like, that's starting to look a little bit like a snowflake. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, if I like mess with this, it should also alter all the other ones. Like if I do that, and then I do, ooh, look at that. Okay, swag, okay. Dude, we are cooking. Okay. The only thing that I'm questioning now is this enough detail? I'm scared that like there's too much negative space in here, but I don't really know how to fill it. Oh dude, that looks 10 times better. At least to me it does. Shoot, I might even do that a little bit more. Is that too much? Nah, I think that looks good. All right, let's find a good font. Air Bomb. I know that this was like one of the first fonts I looked at, but this one looks really good. So we're just gonna go with that one for now. Bro, I think that this looks pretty good. I think for a guy like myself that maybe isn't a pro at this sort of thing, making logos, I like it. I like it a lot. All right, now the next step is to draw the word mark. So I actually have a drawing tablet, so I can do this by hand to sketch it out first. And I do not recommend you getting this drawing tablet. It's the XP Pen, like Artist 16 or something like that. It was the cheapest thing I could buy. It was like $170 or something. I've had issues with it ever since I got it, so do not recommend at all. If I were you, I would just bite the bullet and get something by Wacom if you're in the market for it. But it gets the job done for things like this. I typically just use my iPad, but for the sake of this video, I'm gonna use this guy right here. Yeah, this is an issue that I always have, is as I draw something, it gets out of scale. So I'm just gonna draw each individual letter, and then I can manipulate how it's oriented later. I feel like this Z is just not freaky enough. I'm trying to get freaky with it, man. Pause. All right, and then I'm literally just gonna copy this. God, I have brain rot. Boop. There we go. Hold on, I think my food is ready. I got my dinner. Food reveal. I made some sweet potatoes and frozen chicken. So back to the grind. Okay, now time to align them. There we go. I like it. All right, I'm gonna save this, and then I'm gonna open it up in Illustrator and make it look pretty. So here we go. We got our sketch right here, and I'm just gonna go to town. So what I really wanna do with this logo, thought about all the different directions I could take it, but I think ultimately I want it to be super jagged, almost like ice shards. So that's what our logo looks like right now, but I want to really make it look crazy. I'm going to highlight this, and then we're going to go Object, Path, Outline Stroke. And so what that does is it lets us mess with the thickness of these strokes. It lets us clean up where the letters overlap. And so I'm just going to make this look really crazy. Yeah, I think that's about as good as we're gonna get. Now I just need to clean it up. I don't know how I feel about that. Let me change the colors. Okay. All right, so there is our word mark. I think it looks good. It's definitely gonna be a challenge tying this in together with the other logo that I just made. I've got some ideas on how to figure all that out, but we still have one more logo to do. So we're gonna figure that out first, and then we'll come back to putting the uniform together. Welcome to the other side of my bedroom. I've got my iPad here. I'm gonna work on the final logo, and I really wanted to spend some time to make sure the illustration is nice and refined. So I'm not using the crappy tablet. I'm using my nice iPad to really make sure that this logo looks good. And luckily that first sketch I think is a really good start, but I maybe want to change things up a little bit. So I'm gonna take a good amount of time on this. So we're just gonna time lapse it. Alright, so we are back at the desk. I need to lock in so that I can really refine this final logo. I think that my sketch looks really good. I just gotta make the lines clean. I think that that's a good start for now. I didn't add any of the details for the jersey yet because we don't know what that's going to look like quite yet.
One eternity later.
So I finished up the rest of the design process off camera because honestly, it was really boring and it took way too long. But I finally got to the final product, and this is kind of the moment that y'all have all been waiting for. This is the whole point of the video, so let's just jump right into it. So first, we have the home uniforms, which I went with black, and I used that snowflake logo front and center. I think it looks really good on the chest. So the design on the sleeves, I wanted to kind of resemble a mountain peak, and the pattern that I have inside of it is supposed to resemble the salt flats I was talking about at the beginning of this video. I didn't forget about that. And I added in just a little bit of a purple accent because I thought that looks good. It's a fresh of breath air. On the shoulders, I was kind of stuck with figuring out what to put there, so I ended up just doing a very simple logo of the outline of Utah. It was nothing special, and I didn't really want to highlight it all that much, so I just made it a very dark gray, so you can barely even see it unless you're really up close. For the collar, I went with this geometric triangular pattern, A, because it resembles a mountain range, but B, I think it just looks kind of cool. And I ended up using the Wordmark on the top of the helmet and on the side of the shorts. For the away uniform, I kept a lot of those same elements, like the salt flat pattern and the snowflake logo I moved up to the shoulders. But the one thing that I really love about their current uniforms is that diagonal text across the front. So I wanted to replicate that, but give it my own type of style and use that same jagged font that I used for the Wordmark. I wanted the alternate uniform to be something just a little bit more fun and lighthearted, so I went crazy with the purple. I included that Yeti logo front and center. I think it turned out pretty good, but that's just my own opinion. I know I'm not a professional, but I think I illustrated it pretty well, and I changed up the way that the sleeves look just a little bit. I also mocked up a couple examples of advertising for the Utah Blizzard, just because the team isn't only the uniforms, it's their fans, it's the city that it's in, and so this just kind of gives a holistic look of what this team would be like in Salt Lake City. But yeah, there you have it. There's my concept for the Utah Blizzard. Definitely let me know what you think. I think that it is crucial for me as a designer to get feedback and know if I'm doing things right or if there's other things I can improve on. But just remember, I have very fragile emotions, so if you're mean to me, I will cry and throw up. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel and subscribing. If you enjoyed this video, I've made a couple other videos very similar to this one, so go ahead and watch those. I love putting all this effort into these videos, and I love the support that I've been getting. So yeah. Thank you so much. Stay safe out there.